republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Claudia?
Here.
Tracy Ellen?
Here.
Barbara?
Here.
Alan?
Here.
Annette?
Here.
Stephanie? John?
Here.
Doug?
Here.
Al?
Here.
Louis?
Here.
Jacqueline?
Here.
New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Riverdale Regional Board of Education has caused notice of this regular meeting to be publicized by having the date, time, and place thereof sent to the Record and the Star Ledger newspapers, the constituent borough clerks and borough libraries, as well as posting in the school district principal offices, faculty rooms, and the board office. According to New Jersey Public Law 2001, Chapter 226, the smoking or use of any tobacco product is strictly prohibited anywhere in the public school buildings or anywhere on school grounds, including but not limited to parking lots, grassy areas, and athletic fields. Violators will be subject to a fine not to exceed $100. It should be back there, next to the book.
To provide a safe, student-centered environment in which each student is valued and respected, to challenge each student to reach his or her potential, to nurture every student's intellectual, social, physical, and emotional growth, to promote a healthy work ethic, a passion for learning, and a respect for oneself and other, to develop responsible citizens for our diverse community and ever-changing world, to continue to involve our community in an active partnership, to provide all students the opportunity to achieve and exceed the New Jersey Student Learning Standards and the New Jersey Core Curriculum Content Standards.
Thank you, Annette. We'll go into public comments on agenda items only. There will be a segment at the end of the meeting for public comments and anything that is not on the regular agenda. If anyone has anything to say from the public on agenda items, please step up to the microphone. No? Okay, we have a presentation tonight. Our business administrator, Trudy Engel, is going to present the preliminary budget for fiscal year 2022 to 2023. Trudy?
Okay, so good evening. Tonight I'm going to review the proposed 2022-23 budget presentation. First of all, I'd like to thank the Board of Education members and Patrick Fletcher, our superintendent, for their input and support during this budget process. This slide shows our district student enrollment, and as you can see over the years, it fluctuates between 5 to 10 students. The budget comparison. So I compared the present budget to the future budget. Okay, and you can see the first line, the general fund. This went up for $644,502. This is a result of we got additional state aid and an additional taxes. The capital outlay, the $350,000 this year, that represents the security vestibules we did. And for the proposed budget, a little over $1 million for the replacement of a new track. On the grant line, you can see that this present year was much higher than a proposed budget, and that's because in this year, the federal and state, we received a tremendous amount of money due to COVID expenses. And then the last line, the debt services, this line is a small decrease just because the debt is getting closer to the end of retiring. This slide represents our revenues, and as you can see for the new year, majority of our revenues comes from taxes and from state aid, and then the rest of the 10% is made up of your special revenues, your tuition, your capital outlay. The appropriations this year, I also broke it down by percentage on the left and the dollar amounts on the right. Majority of our our appropriations are spent on our instruction, both general and special education, on our special services. You have transportation and support services as well. Our fiscal efficiencies, basically what this does, it helps us try to control our costs. So that's why we participate in insurance consortiums, an E-rate to help with our telecommunications, and cooperative for purchasing. The overview budget provides necessary district staff, academic offerings, extracurricular activities, and transportation. Basically, this budget maintains the excellent quality that we have today. The last slide, this is the municipal share tax levy, the tax impact. And as you can see from 2018 to the present, there's a shift of the percentage between Oradell and River Edge. And as you can see, this coming year, the 22-23, the percentage for Oradell is 48.1, and the percentage for River Edge is 51.9. What this impacts has on the taxpayers is for Oradell, the average home, the tax will be decreased by $28.48 for the year, and for River Edge, there'll be an increase of $122.53 for the average home. Does anyone have any questions for me?
How much more do we have left on our debt?
2 more years.
2 more years? Okay.
Can you just explain, Trudy, that we have nothing to do with determining this percentage here as a school district?
Correct. We get those numbers. They're determined when we get our state aid figures. That's when those numbers come to us. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Trudy.
you.
Okay, we'll go into the student member report. We'll switch it up a little bit if you don't mind, Jacqueline. We'll have Lewis start us off today.
Okay, so a couple things that that have been happening here in Riverdale. So I wanted to mention that actually last week the National Honor Society has had their first ever Family Feud night here in the auditorium. Something interesting, something new and different that I heard that people went to and everything, and it was well, and people had a good time. And the rumor has it is that next year Pepe is creating a team of staff members to take on the students next year. Oh, you know what? We'll see what happens. And then beyond just that, the middle school had their open house for the incoming 7th graders. I mean the parents of the 7th graders 2 weeks ago, and they visited the 3 elementary schools to meet with the 6th graders and tell them about what it is to be in Riverdale. So it is that time of the year. We're already coming into the close. It's crazy. And the sophomores had their sophomore social last week, and they had a great time. I just saw some pictures. I think they were on the TVs as you came into the high school. So, again, we are in this time of the year. And lastly, Mr. Pepe and the admin team welcomed the 8th grade families into RDHS 2 weeks ago from the transition, from the 8th graders from middle school to high school. And over 300 people were in attendance. So many people are getting ready to become freshmen here. It's a good time.
And to celebrate the first day of spring, the marching band last week and the color guard had the amazing opportunity to perform in the St. Patrick's Day parade in New York City. So the parade that goes down Fifth Avenue, goes down New York City, and it's on on TV. They had the honor of being in it, and they were able to make it onto NBC TV coverage. And if you watched it during that time, you could have seen them. There's a lot of photographs on the Instagram, and we're super proud of them for being able to be part of such. It's sort of like an important culture in the tri-state area. And the RD Drama Club is performing The Wizard of Oz next week. They have worked super hard, and they have worked endlessly to put on this production post-COVID, and their stages are wonderful, and all of their cast members are so hardworking, and we really hope that everyone shows up. So break a leg. And the Riverdale just finished our Start Strong testing last week, and we are very proud of our students who had to test for coming in on time, for adjusting to this new Bell schedule, and we're thankful for all of the students that were able to adjust to the delayed opening and come in and go to all their classes on time and make up all the assignments. It's really weird switching schedules sometimes, but we're really happy that everyone was able to adjust well. And finally, congratulations to the track and field student athletes on an amazing winter season, and shout out to Christina Allen for placing 12th in nationals and being the fastest sophomore in New Jersey history on the 1 mile. So thank you.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Thank you. My report tonight, I only have one thing. The Brenda Canal Field dedication ceremony is scheduled for April 2nd. That's a week from Saturday. At the softball field, 11:45 start. The Riverdale softball game is at 12 noon versus Glen Rock High School. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the head coach for Glen Rock is a protege of Brenda, was a student.
Graduated from here.
Yep. And so post-game, we'll continue with ceremony and speeches. Food, drinks, and desserts will be served throughout the game. Bring your own chair. Rain date is the following day, but so far, the long-range forecast looks pretty good for April 2nd. So if you get a chance, it's going to be in conjunction with the 50th anniversary of Title IX as well. There will be a plaque dedication for Title IX anniversary as well. So that's all I have, Patrick. I'll turn it over to you.
My report is very short because everybody took all the thunder. It's great. I'm happy about that. It's a good day when the superintendent doesn't have to talk so much. However, it was a real treat to see the Riverdale Band march. They were one of the last groups on Channel 4. They came through at about 10 minutes before the parade coverage ended, shall we say. Shout out to the band parents and the supporters who made a very special day for the students. The middle school students walked up here to the high school. They had a breakfast. They had some time with themselves before they all got on the bus and headed over. Also, shout out to Mr. Pepe for not actually having a heart attack, because he did actually walk all the way up with the band. So that was a good thing for him, because we need him around here. As Lewis kind of alluded to, we are at a point where the end of the school year just kind of rapidly moves past us. We did have a round of testing already, as was mentioned. Jacqueline spoke about that. There's more testing that will take place in the spring after our break. Not only the state test, which will affect the 9th and the 11th graders, but there's also AP testing that goes forward. So once we return from the April break, it's like you're on a big slide all the way to the end of the school year. There's a lot of activities which are coming up. We continue to remain hopeful that the trends that we're experiencing will allow us to have all of those activities. The Junior Promise Thursday? Did you mention that? Yeah. Junior Promise coming up, it's on Thursday. And then we are very hopeful that, and are planning for, our more traditional type of activities as school comes to a close in June, with the opportunity for students to celebrate the conclusion of the school year. So let's just remain hopeful that that will continue along, and that the great experiences that our students have had thus far will continue as well. My final note is to thank Trudy for her efforts in putting the budget together. It was a little bit more difficult, I think, than we all recognize, because we are in the process of shifting our financial accounting system from one package to another. That started really effectively January 1st when we moved our payroll, and July 1st we'll be moving over the financial accounting system. So I appreciate the board's patience, because the documents that you received weren't in the same traditional style that you've seen for probably 28 years before that. However, all the information is there, and I know that Trudy was very responsive to the requests for information that came in, and to the Finance Committee that put in a great job that I think they met 3 or 4 times during that period to get to that. And don't want to steal your thunder. I know you're going to speak about that. But we are pleased, if you will, that we once again received a very significant increase in state aid. And while the state is very good at giving in one hand and taking with another, in our case this year, we were able to capitalize more on the giving than the taking and bring forward a budget that continues to support the programs here at Riverdale. So congratulations, Trudy, and to the other folks in your office who I know also did a lot of work, particularly Stephanie. That concludes my report.
I just want to feed off of what Patrick just finished up on the budget in new format. I know Alan, John, and Annette were on the committee, and I kind of oversaw the meetings with Trudy. And, you know, at first it was a lot of questions, not used to the format that Tom used to give us with the telephone book, thick, paperwork. Do you folks have any feedback, or did you find it a little bit easier to go through the new format, which was much more streamlined, if you would?
I've told Judy before, there's some people that ask questions, and then there's some of us that ask a lot of questions.
That's all right, that's,
I usually am one of the ones that ask a ton of questions. And I did ask Trudy, I'm used to looking at proposed budget, up-to-date budget, like how Tom used to have like those multiple lines. So I just asked Trudy if maybe next year we could kind of like have something to jump off of. Because although this was lovely, and I did write to her, and I was like, oh my God, I love this when I got it. I compared it to last year's budget, just because I couldn't follow, I like to see, what did we put in for this the year before? How much did we actually spend, and what are we planning for next year? So it was like a bit of a challenge, but I have to say, Trudy, you did an amazing job on this. Like, to get it from killing 8 trees per person down to this.
and
Really
cleaning
good.
it up a lot as
Yeah.
well. Any other feedback, or?
Well, I think next year you'll be able to see everything a lot clearer than this year.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were talking about.
Trudy had to, jump around and move different line items into different categories, but I think the format going forward is going to make it so easy for everybody to really understand and compare one year to the next.
Okay. And I too want to thank the, Alan and John and Annette did great work with Trudy. We'll get into the rest of the committee reports. I know there haven't been many meetings when we have scheduled, like for instance, Alan, Budget and Finance. Trudy, I would have stole your thunder, and I know you have a meeting May 2nd. And Doug, Facilities and Security, I know we have a meeting May 2nd, so you have nothing to report, okay. Tracy Ellen, May 9th I have on our calendar, so we haven't really met. Stephanie is curriculum. Next Tuesday we have the curriculum meeting. And policy, Claudia, I know there were a couple things on the agenda.
Policies, the 2000 series, which is Title IX based discrimination, which we've been working on for a while. It went out to Rod for some cleanup and back to us. So this is for the first read. And then along for the second reading is face coverings, the 5000 series.
Right. Okay. That moves us into the consent agenda. May I have a motion for consent?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, Claudia, Alan, does anybody have any questions or concerns about anything on the consent agenda? Shruti?
Claudia?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
John? Annette?
Yes.
Tracy Ellen?
All but 9A, I wasn't present at that meeting.
Doug?
Yes.
Barbara?
All but 9A, I wasn't at the meeting.
Al?
Yes. Okay, the first vote outside of the consent agenda, under 12, miscellaneous.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
For that 9A, do we have enough votes to pass it?
2 people abstain and we have 1 person missing. Are we okay? 1, 2,
Yeah,
For
majority
5?
rule,
Yes.
majority carries.
majority? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Under 12, miscellaneous, A, It is recommended by the superintendent that the board approve the first reading of the following policy: 2000 Series 2224.1, Title IX, Sex-Based Discrimination. Again, this is the first reading. Anybody have any questions or concerns here? It is a lot.
It is a lot.
Okay.
I make the motion.
Okay, Claudia, thank you. May I have a second? Doug? Okay. Trudy?
Claudia?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
John? Annette?
Yes.
Tracy Ellen?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
I'll just point out that when we come for our next meeting, not only will this be on for second reading, but there's a regulation and an exhibit,
I was going to say that.
which, when Claudia said it's a lot, it's triple a lot when you see that stuff.
Okay. Under 12 miscellaneous, B, it is recommended by the superintendent that the board approve the second reading of the following policy: 5000 Series 5141.10, face coverings. This is the second reading, so this is the final reading. Does anybody have any questions, public included? No? Okay, Trudy?
Need a
I'll
motion?
make the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we did that. Claudia? Rushing here. Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you.
Claudia?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Annette?
Yes.
Tracy Ellen?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Al?
Yes. Also under 12 miscellaneous, C, it is recommended by the superintendent that the board approve the board goals and corresponding action plan. Goal 1, by December 2022, the district will develop a profile of the Riverdale student and then identify roadblocks that would prevent students from achieving this potential. Goal number 2, by December 2022, the Riverdale Board of Education will establish a culture of emotional well-being for the students and staff that assist individuals in realizing their potential. May I have a motion?
I'll second.
Okay.
Thank you for cleaning up the second.
Welcome.
Yeah, and the dates were
Thank you
also,
for your help. I know there was some group work.
The dates were also adjusted on this as well.
Was Stephanie involved in any of the cleanup? Is she happy with this?
We have not spoken specifically about it, but she did receive this beforehand twice, so.
Twice, okay,
Yeah.
good. All right.
anybody else have any questions? Okay, Trudy?
Claudia?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Annette?
Yes.
Tracy Ellen?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Al?
Yes. Okay, fourth vote, I'm sorry. Consent. Under 13, Finance and District Operation. D, the superintendent, at the request of the board secretary, recommends that the board accept line item transfers and the adjustments as listed in the financial report for the month ending February 2022. Second?
I'll second.
Claudia?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
John? Annette?
Yes.
Tracy Ellen?
Yes.
Doug? Barbara?
Yes.
Al?
Yes. Under 13, Finance and District Operation, H. Be it resolved to approve a school district preliminary budget for the fiscal year 2022-2023 school year for submission to the Executive County Superintendent's Office as follows. There was a tax levy of $32,649,633. Total all expenses of $38,810,386. This is a preliminary budget vote here. The final budget is going to be on our agenda end of April, correct? So this is just a preliminary. There's also a capital reserve capital project, as Trudy mentioned before, just over $1 million for the track replacement in the stadium. May I have a motion for this, please? Somebody want to second that for me?
I'll second it.
John, thank you.
And before you call for a vote, I just want to also thank Trudy for all the work. I think we put her through her paces. And I just want to make a comment that we heard that we had a lot of state aid. But right before we got to state aid, we were actually looking at budget cuts. So even though we got state aid, I don't think it should come across like it was all this extra money on top of the budget. The meeting before that one, we actually asked Trudy to cut the budget so we could stay at 2%. So what they gave us, and then there's some offset calculations because of healthcare benefit costs. It's kind of budget neutral. The money that they put in allowed us to put back what we would have cut, which nobody wanted to do in order to stay at around 2%. So it worked out ultimately. So thank you for your work there.
Okay, thanks, John.
Claudia?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Annette?
Yes.
Tracy Ellen?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Al?
Yes. Okay, the sixth and final vote outside of consent is under 13 as well, Finance and District Operation, letter I. Whereas the Riverdale Regional School District Board of Education Policy 6471 provides that the Board of Education shall establish annual school budget maximum expenditure amount that may be allotted for such travel and expense reimbursement for the 2022-2023 school year. Be it resolved that the Riverdale Regional School District Board of Education hereby establishes a school district travel maximum for the said school year in the sum of $60,000. Be it resolved that the school business administrators shall track and record these costs to ensure that the maximum amount is not exceeded. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make it.
I'll second.
Does anybody have any questions on this? Okay. Trudy?
Claudia?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Annette?
Yes.
Tracy Ellen?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Al?
Yes. Okay, that brings us to new business, old business, board discussion. I'm getting all these looks. I guess nobody has anything? Okay. We can get into public comments on anything pertaining to the Riverdale Regional School District. If anyone has anything to say, please step up to the microphone. Okay. Anybody? Okay. Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Somebody want to second that? Doug, all in favor? Okay. 8:30.
I'm calling it at 8:29.
8:29?
I'm calling it at 8:29.
What, are you going for a record?